جهود كبيرة من وزارة الثقافة وبالتحديد هيئة الموسيقى للحفاظ على الموروث الغنائي السعودي والعربي أيضا مع موازنة متغيرات العصر ومتطلبات الجيل الجديد. أجريت لقاء مع الرئيس التنفيذي لهيئة الموسيقى الأستاذ بول باسيفيكو، واللي تكلمنا فيه عن هذه الجهود وعن رؤية الهيئة وأيضا يعني أهمية الموسيقى في حياتنا وفي مجتمعنا السعودي بالتحديد، وأيضا الموروث الشعبي والموروث اللي احنا قاعدين نشوفه اليوم. خلونا نتابع جزء من هذا التقرير وهذا اللقاء ونرجع لكم. في عالم الفن والموسيقى في المملكة العربية السعودية. Today we are excited to have Mr. Paul Pacifico, CEO of the Saudi Music Commission. His leading effort to transform the music landscape in Saudi Arabia, promoting music as a key part of our culture and entertainment. We are going to discuss the Commission's vision, of course, and the Classical Arabic Singing Festival, as well as the growing recognition of the Saudi orchestra. As we see these days, they are all over the world, so this is amazing. So I would like to thank you very much, Mr. Paul, for being here with us today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Maha.
So my first question, and the question that maybe a lot of people have, why is music so important? Like, what does music do in our societies in general?
That's a great question, and I think an important starting point. I'm a musician. I grew up with music. I love music. For me, it's important to take a step back and not take the answer to that question for granted.
Yeah.
Through the lens of Vision 2030, it's very clear the value of music. The three main pillars. The diversified economy. Music provides an important contribution to the economy, to the GDP, sustainable, viable, real-world economic careers for young Saudis of all ages, actually.
Yeah.
The vibrant society pillar. Music contributes significantly to the vibrant society. It is economically significant. It's also culturally important. So we talk about the two sides of the music coin, the commercial and the creative side of the music coin. And of course, you know, in the context of a proud nation, music tells stories about its people, about its countries, about the people's place in the world, how they identify themselves, how they project, they identify their history and their ambitions for the future. And music transcends language. So music is a really important way of telling beautiful stories, difficult stories too, but music allows people to communicate around the world.
Yeah, I agree. We live for music. We listen to music every morning when we're working, when we're at the gym, and etc. So $75 million in the music or the musical industry in Saudi Arabia. That's an accurate number, or do you have new numbers?
I think that's a low number, actually. I think this year in 2024, the prediction is that the streaming revenue alone, digital music alone in Saudi Arabia, will be around, the prediction I've seen is $114 million.
Wow.
And that's not counting revenues from live. The other interesting dynamic to music is that when you have a music event, it's not just the ticket price that generates money. People take taxis, they go for food, they go out for coffee. So it's often estimated in other data I've seen from around the world that for every rial spent on a music ticket, 4 or 5 rials can be spent on the whole experience that goes around that. So again, we're back to that significant contribution to the economy.
Yeah, absolutely. So this weekend was very viral. This weekend was about the Classical Arabic Singing Festival. So can you tell us more about it, and why did we invest so much in this festival in particular?
I think music is magical in the way that it allows us to connect with tradition in the past. It allows us to explore where we are today. It also allows us to dream of the future. And I think for me, the Fusha Singing Festival is a really important opportunity for us to connect to a more classical lineage of music. Arabic music, but also particularly Saudi music. And I think the festival allows us to just take a moment and reflect on where we've come from, the roots that are in everybody creating music in this place, how that informs who we are today, and how that helps us identify where we're going tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, it's such a unique concept. Like, how did you see the reaction of especially the new generation about this festival, the Classical Arabic Festival?
The reaction was very, very strong, actually. We sold all of the tickets within 48 hours of announcing the festival, which was brilliant. And actually, the festival was really the brainchild and created by His Highness the Minister of Culture himself, who saw this as a really important contribution to the musical conversation and the landscape here, and he was right.
Yeah. How did we engage the audience in the traditional Arabic music festival?
I think, like for so many of these things, social media is a key engagement tool. And no matter how traditional the art form, the way people engage, I think, is through those media. And that's great because it gives not just the artists on stage, but also audiences an opportunity to express their voices, their views, and have that two-way dialogue, which is a great thing about modern art.
Right. And also, like one thing to mention, the Classical Arabic Singing Festival is not meant to be only for Saudis and the Saudi culture. It's Fusha, as you mentioned earlier, so it's anyone who speaks the language can actually understand the dialogue or understand Fusha. So if we were to describe the new Saudi artists, how do you see them, and as well as do you think that they still keep that Saudi heritage in their work or their music nowadays?
Gosh, in some of the artists that we invite to the Fusha Festival, absolutely. I would say also that for me, it's been an incredibly enriching experience. We have an initiative called Saudi Trug, which we're working with UNESCO and the Saudi Heritage Preservation Society and other cultural commissions to record, really for the first time, the intangible cultural heritage of all of Saudi Arabia's 13 regions. And the diversity, the richness of the melodies, the rhythms, the instruments, as well as the clothing and the food and all the other aspects, the dances, really tells a story of the deep roots of culture here, the authenticity, the hyper-localization of culture, that emergence of identity, which is an incredible springboard for the next generation to push from. So a lot of the discussion, the debate with younger Saudi artists is around, what is the contemporary voice of Saudi Arabia? What does that mean? Whether it's in traditional Arabic music, Khalejia pop, whether it's in hip hop and rap, or Saudi metal, there's a Saudi metal scene. A lot of people are having that discussion, that debate, and expressing what that might be through music, and that's really exciting.
So, Mr. Paul, if we were to talk about the orchestra, for example, the Saudi orchestra, how old is it, and how do you see them? Like, especially in the past few years, they've been in different cities in the world, so how do you see them in general?
So the Saudi National Orchestra and Choir was one of the first initiatives I think really embarked on, and it took some time to get it together, to find the talent, to bring people together. Really, it's only been a couple of years since we've formalized the orchestra as a full-time entity, and really 1 year of full-time training as a team with a faculty, and really being able to focus on that output. It's been incredible. They've been so far, I think, to four destinations globally. Paris first, then Mexico City, then New York City, and then London in September this year. On November the 22nd, we'll be in Tokyo in Japan, collaborating, and each time we collaborate with the best of the local cultural institutions to really build that bridge, have that meeting of cultures, that cultural exchange that music can do across languages and other sort of barriers. So in Japan, we'll be working with the imperial court music, the Gagaku Orchestra. It's the very traditional formal music from the court, as well as a more modern orchestra from the Tokyo Academy of Music, and a very famous Japanese artist, Tomoyasu Hote, who's a legend in Japan, and we're very excited to work with. So the National Orchestra and Choir is a sort of, I think, at home, a symbol, an inspiration for young Saudis to see Saudi music being performed on the great stages of the world and recognized by other cultures as having that validity, that place on that stage. It's also a really important bridge builder for international cultures to really get to know Saudi music for the first time.
Absolutely.
So I think it has that dual resonance both at home and abroad.
Yeah, and do you think that they're doing a good job so far? Like, they've been, I mean, I'm talking about like the talents, especially me and you, maybe we were discussing the age gap and like the different voices from ladies, girls, or boys, or even people who are interested in the industry of music.
I mean, I say with real pride and seriousness that the Saudi National Orchestra and Choir are doing an incredible job. It is an amazing group of really talented individuals. But more than talented individuals, they've come together as a family. Yeah. You know, great orchestras of the world, it's like football teams. Right. There's no point having star players unless they play as a team. Yeah. And it's the same with an orchestra. That orchestra, the way that they've gelled and come together. I mean, for me, it's a shining example of the spirit of change here in Saudi Arabia, that sense of collective endeavor for greatness and for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. As we said in the beginning of this interview, music is a form of communication. That's why it's important in our societies, in our cultures, in our communication in general. So Middle East is going to be next month. Yep. So we're excited. I guess a lot of people are excited. I'm excited because there are so many artists that I love. They're going to be there. Since you got here to Saudi Arabia, in this position in particular, would you say that you expected to see such a different or variety of taste, especially with the young generation? Or was that something that you actually saw it coming?
That's a really good question. I deliberately came to Saudi Arabia with a very open mind, the most open mind I could possibly have, to say it's not for me to impose my expectations on the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. My job is to support and reinforce and help serve the community here and what they're asking for, what their needs are, what their desires are. And it's been extraordinary, you know, to discover the Saudi rap scene, to get to know some of the heavy metal bands, to get to know, you know, and I saw, this isn't just my personal experience, we saw some data in the Commission 2 weeks ago, which showed that Saudi citizens are 3.1 times more likely to actively lean into cultural discovery and music online than their American counterparts. So what does that mean? It means that the audience here is highly culturally curious, and that's across platforms. This was across Shazam, YouTube, Spotify, and other music platforms. So people here across all ages are really culturally curious and interested, and that sense of exploration in music is something that is an incredible opportunity for the creative community here as they grow. They've got an audience that's willing to listen to new things, to hear new messages in new ways, and that's very, very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Music is life. We have a saying in Arabic, it says music is life. Anyway, Mr. Paul Pacifico, CEO of the Saudi Music Commission, I thank you again. Thank you very much for being here with us today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And before we were done, I want to say one more thing. You nailed the Saudi traditional thobe and chmaks. You look amazing. Thank you very much again.
That's a big compliment.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Paul Pacifico, for being here with us today, the CEO of the Saudi Music Commission. Thank you again. للأمانة كان من أمتع اللقاءات اللي أنا شخصيا أجريتها، لأنه تخيلوا أنه حتى في هذا اللقاء تعلمت كثير من السيد بول باسيفيكو اللي هو رئيس طبعا هيئة الموسيقى عندنا في السعودية، هو له تقريبا 2 أودي. ومشاهدينا يعني تكلمنا عن تفاصيل كثير. يعني أول سؤال خطر في بالي، إحنا ليش قاعدين نعطي أو نولي اهتمام للموسيقى بشكل عام؟ وهذا يعني اللي افتتحت فيه هذا اللقاء، هذا السؤال اللي افتتحت فيه هذا اللقاء. ليش؟ لأنه الإجابة كانت مثرية. الموسيقى إن صح التعبير فعلا مثل ما تفضل أستاذ بول، إنها يعني شكل من أشكال التواصل.
صح.
أودي يعني كانت منذ الأزل. يعني لما تسمعين موسيقى تعرفين أنت هذه الموسيقى جاية من أي خلينا نقول من أي ثقافة أو من أي دولة أو من أي ديانة حتى. فالموسيقى هوية في نهاية الموضوع. كان لقاء جدا مثري، أتمنى أنكم استمتعتوا فيه مثل ما أنا استمتعت. وأكيد يعني هذه الليلة اللي هي ليلة الغناء باللغة العربية الفصحى كانت من أجمل الليالي. يعني يمكن اليوم حتى طلعنا في التقرير قبل هذا اللقاء، فكانت جميلة جدا ولها ناسها ولها لها أهميتها إنه إحنا قاعدين نعتز بلغتنا العربية.
صح.
يعني حتى لو إحنا رحنا ميدل بيس وسمعنا ديجي وسمعنا جاز وسمعنا أغاني من يعني مختلف اللغات، ما زلنا متمسكين بلغتنا العربية ونعتز فيها حتى بالفن وحتى في الموسيقى. عموما مشاهدينا خلونا نطلع هذا الفاصل، بعد نرجع ونكمل ما تبقى من فقرات لهذا اليوم.